That's such a lot.
Okay, the chair will call the meeting of the Board of County Commissioners to order on this July 30th, 2026. The first item on our agenda this morning is approve the minutes of July 23rd. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
Seconded? Okay, any changes or amendments to the minutes? Not hearing any. All those in favor of adoption, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the vote is unanimous. Item 2 is discuss the probate record transfer with the registry of deeds. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Mess this again.
I think you already know a bit about what's going on. But it was brought to my attention that the probate records in the court across the hall from the registry of deeds may be moved to the archives. It looks like that's what the plan is. And if you recall, in 2020, I had sent a letter to the administrative court judge at the time, Judge King, and to the clerk, Cheryl Andrews, who's also the current clerk, asking that they keep the probate records that they haven't moved here, because the plan was at that time as well to move them to the archives in Concord. So I did contact Clerk Andrews last week and let her know that what my concerns were, because it's vital to have those records oftentimes when you're doing a title search. And I told her, I didn't believe that it was, we weren't really looking out for constituents if those records are moved to Concord and they have to drive to Concord every time they have to do a title search where probate's involved. And not only, I think, the concerns about the records themselves, but the index cards that are there from 1900 to 1900. I'm sorry, I believe it's 19, I don't know why I'm drawing blank now, but I think it's 1906 to 1960 something, I believe, that are there in the file cabinet that take up very little space. That at the very least, I had requested that those records, those index records, those cards be kept in the new courthouse that's going to be put up in Rochester, at least that those be left there. Said that she's going to consider that. In the meantime,
Well, they're still still gonna have to run to Rochester to do that, right?
of course, but at the very least, they should be kept in the county. I did get, I don't want to get into it, but
Yeah.
as far as, so I did indicate to her, I will be writing a letter to her and to the administrative judge that I'd be letting the commissioners know. And I told her that I did have title examiners, abstractors contact me with concerns about those, and she asked that I ask them to send her letters. And I have a couple of those that I've just received, and I'll share those. So I just wanted to put everyone on notice of that. In 2020, I believe I drafted a letter from me, I did, and from the commissioners and from all the registers in the
Right.
state,
Right.
asking that they be kept here. So, may have to follow that kind of line again, but we'll see where that goes. So just a little heads up on that. And, with regard to everything else going well. I mean, our staffing's a little tight. I gotta give it to the staff at the registry. They're, keeping it together. We are ahead a little bit from last year with income, about still 37,000 to the county, I believe, right now, and our document counts up about 700. But that was why I wanted to talk to you today,
Yeah.
not to get on a
Well, I
tangent with
think-
everything else, but those records, it concerns me. I don't, and I did a quick poll of the other registers, the registries of deeds, and most of the probate records are in the county from what I can
Right.
see so far. So I don't think we should be treated any differently.
Well, maybe this, well, if you're gonna draft another letter, I know, I went to the legislature and lobbied them not to do something about the fact that the public was being so, treated poorly in this process, because they gotta run here and run there, especially as the abstractors. And I did get a call in the last couple of weeks about, from some abstractors saying, we get, and research folks saying this is gonna be
It's ridiculous. There's no need of it. I
yeah.
mean, and even if the index cards at the very least should be kept there, it's a very small footprint. And if they don't want to keep them here, they should at least have them in the Rochester, the new courtroom, the
Right.
courthouse, because
Well, they're gonna
again,
run
it's
it
a
for
small
food there.
footprint.
Yeah, they're gonna. run
Yeah,
it for
well,
food
at
there,
least
back
it's in the
and forth.
county. I mean, I agree. I mean, I'm happy to take them in the registry of deeds office.
Yeah, really,
So, I'll suggest that.
okay. Why don't you draft a letter up, Kathy?
Yes,
And,
yeah.
you know, we'll sign one,
That's what I'll do. You can review it.
like we did before.
Yeah.
We did a few years back, and, I remember going to the legislature and talking about this, and we fell on that for years, pretty much.
Just to me, it's common sense.
Just a consideration, Mr. Chairman, is that in the letter, we offer our space to house it
Right, yeah, for free.
That's exactly
for
right.
free, of course, and, you know, our space to house it
You know,
for
'cause
the
what's gonna
convenience
happen
of
is
the
they-
public and,
Right.
and then, you know, perhaps there's middle, worst case scenario. If we start there,
Yeah. Yeah.
then there might be a middle ground that could be agreed to, and it could stay in Rochester. If we start at Rochester, it's gonna
No.
go, you know, it's gonna go to Concord. so-
Right, and that's what I was going to start, that we'd offer that. I mean, it's a very small footprint, at least in the index cards. I'd be happy to take the records. We have room. I mean, we could do that. I mean, I just, so
You know, the other
that was
two
my
offers
initial,
is
because,
that, too bad they couldn't,
they
too
would,
bad they
they would
couldn't
keep.
forward us a copy of their decisions.
Oh.
And then, and we could keep a record there for our own people.
Well, quite frankly, I think that they're just being, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna.
And honestly, when we negotiated, you know, kind of a complicated negotiation regarding the lease. And, you know, cause they're staying upstairs, but, you know, the middle floor is vacating. I don't have any confidence that the people that negotiated with me have had any knowledge of the,
right.
you know, the small pieces that are going to occur. So I don't hold it against them at all. You know, I think they're just interested in square footage. So,
Well, it's gonna be certainly gonna be an inconvenience for a lot of folks, no question.
So thank you for hearing me out on that
Yeah,
today, and I'll get back to you
and
next
we've
week.
got no problem with offering the space and see what
Thank
they
you.
say and.
Yeah.
And, we'll just go from there and see if they come back.
Right.
What else can we do?
One step at a time.
Okay,
Yes,
yeah.
thank you.
would there be any advantage, Mr. Chairman, to making sure we CC our delegation chair?
Sure.
You know, and in fact, I think we should CC the whole delegation.
Yeah, the whole delegation and
You know,
and senators.
Yeah, and senators that are part of our district. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Absolutely. Usually when I send a letter, excuse me, right, when, even with the proposed bills, I ask that Janet send them to all the reps. So I
Yeah.
think that's an excellent idea. Thank you. Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you. I'll do that.
Yeah, just get it to Janet. She'll be happy to forward it. She has she has everybody's info all in one file. It would just be easier and quicker for her
Right.
to send it off that way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so
much.
Alrighty,
Okay.
Thanks for coming
Have a
in.
Good day.
Bye,
Thank you. Bye. Thanks.
alrighty, so, I'm assuming that Diane, I wanna talk a little bit about this in executive session on the, who's gonna be authorized to sign it. Accounts. You're gonna have a.
I have all of that right
Okay,
here for you.
All right.
The signers have not changed
they
at all.
haven't changed?
No,
Okay.
I reached out to all of the departments. And we're keeping all of the same signers, but because these are new accounts, you still have to authorize
Right,
these signers on these new accounts. So there are 11 bank accounts that we are opening at M&T Bank. There are 2 that we are not going to open, and those are the CDBG. There's no need to. We're just going to finish out those projects are almost finished. There's no need to set up accounts and do all of that. So there are 11 accounts, and I've been in receipt of signature cards, but before, that all gets
Right.
submitted.
You gotta talk to us.
Yeah. Okay,
All right, well, if they haven't changed any, then.
no, there's been no change.
Okay, all right. Well, you gotta look through the names, right?
I have memos for
Yeah,
you to
memos.
sign on how that's all structured and.
Yeah.
All right,
we
we'll
can-
do that, we'll do
we
that.
can do that later.
And remember that all of the people that are signers, it's basically 2-person signatures
Right.
on
You're
every
required
check.
to on every.
Right,
So,
Yeah.
like I'm a signer on certain checks, but there'd be a second person.
second person.
And the same with Chris.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then I'll just accept the motion to authorize the existing signers on the new accounts.
Okay.
You're second, okay.
And of course, anytime that there is a change,
Change,
you have,
commissioners have to change.
yeah, the three of you have to authorize that.
Right. Okay, all those in favor of adoption of that list indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the vote unanimous. Okay. So Nick, I see you've joined us by Zoom. You out there?
How goes
brother?
it? I am. How we doing?
Good. So you're next on our agenda to talk about the football field concession stand renovations, and I've been told that Commissioner Levitt had donated some light poles to you. Anyway, what do you want to do out there, Nick?
Yeah, so I got a couple things. So the concession stand needs an upgrade because the lights and the scoreboard and the music system are all kind of on same circuits, and so it shorts out and things turn off. And so I asked Levitt to see if we could do an upgrade to a 200 amp panel, and he said we didn't need it. We just needed to work around and change some of the breakers. So I need a little bit of work on the electrical, and they said I need a sign off from the owners of the field, and I didn't want to do anything without running it by you guys. And second
Right.
thing, potentially not this year, but maybe next year, depending on how things shake out with us. But I'd like to get some lights up there on the practice field that we have. So we don't want them on the game field. We don't really practice on that. We just play games on it. But the practice field that's right in front of it, probably in between the game field and the parking lot for the courthouse.
Yeah.
Levitt said they have probably like 4 or 5 poles that we could put up that are like 10 to 12 feet high and do some lights on there, because we spend probably $5 or $6 grand a year kind of renting lights. And Levitt they said they would donate the poles and the labor, I think potentially, so that way it would be pretty cost effective for us to get it done. And I know I was reading the lease, we can't have lights on past 9 o'clock. I wouldn't do anything different than that. Like we practice 5 to 7, Tuesday through Friday. So when we get into September, October, we get really challenged with our light scenario where the sun goes down probably right in the middle of our practice, so we're out there with lights on, and I'm just trying to figure out a way to improve the field and help us kind of offset some of our costs that we spend every year. Because I buy, like 100 helmets every other year, shoulder pads, and I'm trying to keep our costs down so that way I can get more kids playing. So I didn't want to do a thing, I know, without at least chatting with you guys about it first.
Well, I don't think we have any objection. You and
No,
Commissioner?
no objection. I think the only concern was the lighting because of the neighborhood
The
behind,
time.
so that's perfect.
Yeah, well, the time,
Yeah,
you guys abide by the time at 9 o'clock, I don't see there's an issue with this.
Yeah, we're out of there by then. And they'd have an on-off switch, so that way, like, there'd be no leaving it on by accident. The last person on the field would be responsible for kind of shutting it down.
Sounds like the county courthouse, last guy out, put up a light on.
Exactly, pretty much. And I also wanted to thank this group. The field for us in lacrosse has been just awesome, and we got a lot of kids out there playing sports. And I hope you guys have noticed we're spending a good amount of money out there improving the fields. And I kind of want to do more. It's just kind of going to be a little bit at a time.
I get it. All right, Nick, well, we're good with everything, and
Okay.
thank you, Commissioner Levitt.
It might be easier just to authorize me to sign on behalf of the commissioners. That way
Yeah,
we don't have to run around.
right,
Okay.
okay,
Sure, yes.
Yeah.
yeah, all
I
right,
think-
so we got chair will so order
Awesome.
without objection.
Yeah. And I talked to Levitt, and they said they would take my signature for some reason, but I'll send it to you guys just so it's all.
The city of Dover, that's what I'm concerned about. They're gonna, whatever they want, we've authorized grade
Okay.
to, we'll authorize that.
Awesome. I appreciate your time, guys.
Okay, Nick.
Thank
Have a
you.
good season.
You
Talk
too, man.
soon.
Appreciate you guys. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Just another indication of community support by Levitt Electric.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, nice job, Sean. Anyway, we got some, okay, so we're all set with that, so you signed the documents, right? If they're ready by the city. We got item 5, which is upcoming events, and, which is that summer exploration program, graduation awards, that's on the 13th. Okay, item 6 is old and new business. Do we have any old and new business we need to talk about?
Diane does.
Yes, I received an email this morning that our pre-application for the Go North was approved.
Really?
Yes. So I went onto the port, I mean, that's basically what
Yeah.
it told us, that we were awarded. So I went onto the portal to see exactly what that meant. And,
What does it mean?
Well-
Well, we still haven't figured that out.
when I looked at it, so I see that, the pre-application was submitted, and then it gets to the application, and that's in submitted status. So I was very confused by that. I was talking to Ray about that, and it said it had been awarded, so I don't know what it means. So I have reached out to them already to ask them, you know, what our next steps are and what all of this means right now, just clarifying what awarded means, where are we at in the process?
Right.
So,
Sounds promising.
But the only thing I wanted to say is, if you remember, the pre-application was just that.
Right.
It was never meant to be our total submission,
mm,
because we have additional data
Right.
that we,
Right. We thought it was gonna be part of it.
well,
But it-
initially it was just like a couple of, Diane did a fantastic job with it, but it was just a couple of
Yeah.
pages of stuff that we had used in our direct funding through Senator Shaheen. But we could certainly go into, our desire was certainly go into greater detail, with additional data that we have, that wasn't required.
Right.
Basically, the initial requirement was we're a county nursing home and we have some issues that need to be addressed. And that the projects are shovel ready, and we are. I mean, we have to go out to bid, obviously, but I mean, they could, once the bid's awarded, they could start on the projects tomorrow.
yeah, the pre-application, my understanding, the intent of that was just to determine that you had eligible
Eligible projects.
projects. So it seems like
Well, maybe they said that, okay, your projects are eligible, we'll see what the next step is.
But it was just worded in an odd way.
Yeah.
So Diane and I agreed that Diane would call and inquire to
Yeah, I've
clear that
I've
up.
already sent the email to everybody, to Strafford Regional Planning, to the CDFA for clarification.
It's like,
That's-
no, wait, we want to tell you more, you know?
Yeah, maybe we don't have to tell them anything.
And maybe the announcement is ahead of what the portal, I don't know.
You don't know,
Well,
you also don't know what the administration wants to do in terms of announcing whether they could grant an award.
I know they're under huge pressure to move this money, because they're, I think, like 6 months out from getting the second round of it. And I think they wanna,
Push, yeah, I get.
well, I think there's a concern, if you remember in past grants and things, Washington has clawed money back
Yeah.
when it hasn't been used in the appropriate time period. So the state, I think, is real conscious of that. Originally, the submission date was gonna be September 1st, which we were preparing the additional information so that we would have that. Now they've changed it to October 31st.
The portal says October 30th, so it's hard to
Well, you
know.
got to get some
Yeah.
clarification.
Yeah, well,
But, I think it's, quite frankly, I think our projects are, you're talking about much needed renovations to a very old long-term care facility. It's pretty simple.
and as you know, 20 million was carved out of that, 100 million directly for county nursing homes. So while we've asked for a little more than the theory was $2 million a nursing home, although there's 11 county nursing
Right.
homes, so I'm not sure how the math works. Coas County has 2 nursing homes. you know, we had heard the rumor that it was gonna be 2 million each. But
We could apply up to 2 million.
yeah, I suggested we just put in the whole amount, which is about 2.1. Now, we might be able to save that 100,000 when we go out to bid. Remember, we were just doing best, estimates from vendors.
Yeah.
But we might be able to save that, and if not, that's a pretty,
Well, it's a big chunk of change.
it's a pretty low,
Yeah, there's a
you know,
low threshold.
it's a low threshold for.
Yeah, to try to make up the difference.
That's
Right.
what I was thinking.
Well, it seems like we've gotten to the next
We get to the
thing,
next step, whatever
so,
that is.
yeah, we're in the
You'll find out.
process.
You'll find out, just advise us when you find out. that's all.
Mhm.
And then if it's depending on the nature of how they wanna handle it. We can put it on our agenda next time.
Well, yeah, and the nice part is we're ready. I mean, we have, and I've been doing additional documentation that we can add to the grant for the summer. We've taken, as an example, the Unit 5 solarium is probably the worst when it comes to heat. The gun on the window was 135 degrees.
Hmm.
And I don't know, I mean,
Yeah, I don't know, the windows have gotta be changed. No matter what happens to that building, the windows have gotta be changed, because they're just.
so, but I have all that,
Money going on.
It is money going out the window,
And
yeah,
I have the data.
Literally money
That we
going out the
wanted to
window.
add. Remember, we submitted it, we primarily had the cold data, because we were coincidentally gathering that over the winter.
Maybe our projects are just so no nonsense that,
Well, they're pretty straightforward, and
Yeah.
and it's pretty clear it's for the benefit of the nursing home and the resident,
Right.
primarily not primarily, exclusively for the resident,
Yeah.
and the staff that work there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, if they don't want any more information, my old boss,
Right.
40 years ago, I was giving a presentation in front of the town meeting, and it was going very favorably, and he basically told me to sit down and shut up.
Right.
You don't, I go, no, like I did all this work, I want them to know.
Tell
Yeah.
them more.
Yeah,
Nope,
nope,
nope. And this group of bosses are saying no.
I got it. No, you didn't have to, because I wasn't gonna do
I wasn't gonna
it.
do it. Good. All right, okay, so is that it for old and new business at this point?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, item 7 is questions or comments from the public related to the agenda. I see we got a couple of folks that joined us by Zoom. Does anybody have any questions of the commission that have joined by Zoom? No, no, okay, not hearing any. I don't see any indication of that. And there's no members of the public here. So with that, the chair will move to item number 8, which is to move in a non-public session for the purpose of discussing personnel issues and contract negotiation. I'll get a motion to go into non-public and second it. As far as a roll call, Commissioner Levitt. Yeah, Commissioner Feliciano, myself, aye, the vote is unanimous. The commission now will retire to non-public session. Thank you all very much.